Chapter 11. The girl is nowhere to be seen. Gone. I noticed that the door to the generator room is still closed. Locked. Gracie is lying down where I saw her previously. I saw her chest rising and falling slowly. "Grace!" Tom said, now jogging over toward her. I can see her eyes open slightly as she looks to her left. She doesn't have much strength left, it seems. "Tom, you're here," she said. And then she sees me. "You, what the fuck are you doing?" "Grace, I understand you have beef with him. At the same time, I understand why you left without him." "To be quite fair, you left too," I pipe in. "Not the time," he said, walking closer to Grace. "Gavin, I think I remember seeing an extra pair of clothes in the bag. Would you mind if you parted with at least the shirt?" he asked. "I guess not," I said, taking it out of my bag, tossing it over to him. He catches it with one arm and turns back around to kneel over Grace. "Now, you've lost quite a bit of blood, but I need you to stay calm, okay?" "Yeah." He takes the shirt and rips the collar effectively to unwrap it, and then he applies some pressure to the wound as he ties it around her as if he would a hoodie. I don't have any actual bandages with me, so sadly this is the best I can do. Good news is I don't think what that girl has is a real gun. "What do you mean?" "I'm no expert on guns, but the entry wound here looks much too small if it's an actual bullet that size that hit her. I'm thinking it might be like modded to shoot something like BBs. "So she's got a BB pistol?" Grace asked. "Yeah, if you keep pressure on it, you should stop or at least slow the blood flow. You should be fine," he said. "No, I don't think you should move quite yet. While it doesn't seem so bad right now, it could make things worse," Tom said. "Okay," she glares up at me. "And I understand we have some problems. Well, we're gonna need to settle those before we do move on." "Why?" I ask. "Because, like it or not, we're gathered here against our will." "Chosen," I said. "Maybe we were chosen. That girl spoke to me. She said, 'Hero.' What do you make of that?" "I don't know, but that's not what I'm talking about." "Not yet," Tom said. "I'm talking about how you don't seem to want to be with us, Gavin." "I just really want to get out of here," I said. "Yes, we do too. I'm sure we could get out quicker and easier if we team up and work together." "I just don't like you guys. I'm sorry, not for saying it, I guess for the bluntness of it. I don't know," I said. "I'm not asking you to like me. I'm asking you to work with me so we can get out of here alive." Points to Grace on the ground, and leaving one of us like that isn't the way to do this. Okay, you're right. I'm not much for the whole friends thing, so I'm not saying I'm gonna be your friend. But I'm sorry I left you for dead, Grace. I know that isn't able to cut it. I just want to get the hell out of here. To start, she moans as she tries to sit up. "No, you should rest back. You might make things worse." "Okay," Grace replies. Tom turns to me. "Now, you were saying something before?" I look to him. For the first time, I don't completely hate his guts. Well, maybe second. I kinda did give him praise earlier, didn't I? "I'm thinking that we were chosen to be here. I don't know about you, but I think there might be a reason we're here. Me, I think mine's this," I said, handing him the note I'd found in the room I'd woken up in. Tom read it aloud to Grace. "Why would he write all this information down?" Grace asked. "And what does it have to do with you?" Tom adds. I thought the very same question you did, Grace. Then I started to remember some pieces of the other letters that stuck out to me. "What happened to..." "They got soaked in the water when we fell," I explained. "Oh. So, I remember in the second letter there was a bit where Jack was describing a guy named Jay by his voice." "Yeah, I remember that." "Now, why would he have to do that? Usually, unless a voice is like out of the ordinary, I don't tend to make mention of it personally." "I don't know, maybe his voice was really memorable?" "Maybe, but then that brings us back to this note here, the one listing all the names. Do you see anything weird about it?" I ask. Tom looks at the paper in his hands and looks it over once again. Let's see, name, height, hair, voice, family. Seems to be the pattern that follows for each of them. "What about their faces?" Grace asked. "Huh?" Tom looks to her. "I knew something bothered me, but now I know. Well, I described literally everything about someone except, like, their facial features. Nothing for any of them." "That's what I thought too. Why would he not mention any of their faces?" I stick to everything else. Then I remembered he worked on this. Clear my throat and stand straight. Still trying to get them memorized. Normal people don't usually have to memorize things like that, right? We can just understand them, Tom said. Yeah, I think our dear friend can't recognize people by faces. That's why he has to list them by their voice and hair. Guess it makes sense, and I kind of get why you felt so stressed to memorize them. How would you tell your coworkers who had something like that and expect to be treated the same? Grace said. I think there's a name for that, the not recognizing faces. Prosopagnosia, I tell him. He looks over to me, shocked. I remember reading about it. It's strange I knew something you didn't, med student. I remember reading about prosopagnosia when I was in the waiting room of the doctor and staff taking me to see. There were a bunch of other kids that were ahead of me in priority for seeing the doctor. Kids with measles, kids with hemorrhages, kids without legs. In that time, I read that people can either have prosopagnosia from a genetic mutation or from trauma on the brain at some point in life. I wonder which one Jack is. Maybe since he isn't making such a big deal of not being able to see faces, he's dealt with this for a long time. Maybe even since childhood. I have a question, Grace asked. Yeah? I asked. You said this has something to do with you? Oh, right. That's not a question, by the way, but I'll explain anyway. So, I have reason to believe that my parents worked with this guy, I said. What? Tom asked. Grace merely looked at me with an annoyed and pained expression. That letter you're holding, Tom, it mentions one of the scientists. It also mentions his wife. Well, my parents shared those same names, Greg and Lorraine. They worked as freelance workers, just like these people. I didn't know they were doing this kind of stuff, but I think that might have something to do with why I'm here. And you think you were chosen because of that? Tom said. Yeah. Well, then I have something to share as well. I didn't want to earlier because I thought for sure you guys would have seen me as the bad guy. Mason, the one in this letter with his kid Kate. That sounds an awful lot like my uncle Mason. Their last name is Radica, Tom said. I can see why he thought so. I mean, I surely would have pegged him as a male if he came forward with something like that. But that only leaves one question. Who are you related to here? I asked Grace, turning down to see her on the ground. Me? None of these people. My dad's a reporter, and my brother's currently 6 feet underground. I'm sorry. He was going to college, you know, Grace said. Wanted to be a writer. He had such a way with wording things, and now he's dead. Probably back in 2013. A lot of people died then, and after, too. And your father, a reporter, who for? His startup company is called the Freeman's Word. Yellow journalism stuff. He had a bit of a mental breakdown back in 2005, so he isn't doing anything as of late instead of watching television at home. Okay. Any Uncle Jays or Davids? Tom asked. Nope, I have an Uncle Joe, but he's dead too. He just smoked a lot. Okay, I don't have any other leads really. Anything at NASA ring a bell to your normal life? Nope. Well, maybe you're just unlucky, Tom said. Yeah, maybe, she said, moving her hand to her side once more. Oh, before I forget, Gavin, I owe you one prognosis, Tom said, pulling their medical report out of his back pocket. You're keeping to your word? I asked. You're a crazy son of a bitch, but I do believe you deserve that at the very least. Wait a moment, prognosis for what? Grace asked. The boy here's got himself dementia, Tom said. I look at him hard. What? Nothing's too personal here, Gavin, especially considering you were trusting enough to help me out. Continue. Tom continues scanning the back of the page, and he looks up to me. Got approximately 5 years, Tom said. Is that what it said? I asked. It doesn't so much say it outright. I assumed I would have seen it if it did. But bad news is that this is dated 5 years ago. Tom looks to me, handing me the report. So, it could be any time then, I said. Yeah, sorry. I looked down at the paper in my hands. How? How can you tell it says 5 years? Where does it say that? He walks over and looks over my shoulder. Look there, that's where it says your diagnosis. Based on your specific condition, the general prognosis is 5 to 10 years based on severity of malignancy. And mine is severe. He nods. Can drop at any time. That's scarier than any kidnapping or rogue assailant. This is an imminent death to my own body. I feel something rise. I think it's puke. Maybe it's just the physical manifestation of my inability to process recent events. Maybe it's something so severe it'll just remove all the pain. Take it all away and leave me alone finally. Gavin? Gavin! Tom shakes my shoulder. I'm woken out of my reverie and swallow hard the vomit that rose to my throat. Yeah. Are you gonna be okay? Yeah. I'm good. Great. We need to move. I don't think Grace is ready to move. No, I think she's perfectly fine to move. We need to go, I said, pulling her to her feet, not listening to her pained moan. She nearly fell over, but I'm jogging down the corner before they can even react. Gavin, where are you going? Tom said, putting a little too much emphasis on the where. I stopped, but only for a second. Going to find that girl. It makes sense that she's Leto. Come on, I said, running down the door and found Tom by. It's still locked. Looks like I might finally get some answers. I'm not expecting much but the bare minimum. This seems to be the way to go these days. Survival isn't much of an option anymore. I need answers. I need to know why my parents left me. I need to know why I was taken here. I need to know why. Chapter 12. I unlock the door and swing the handle up. I hear Tom and Grace coming down behind me. I pull open the door. It is much heavier than I expected. I have to push it with 2 hands once I get enough to hold it open. Tom comes from behind to help hold the door. Come on, we have to find her quick, I said, letting the door go. Tom shifts, surprised that I did. Are you at least going to wait up for us? I've been freaking shot. I can't move as fast as you guys, Grace said. Tom helps her move along behind me. The door shuts behind them both and eclipses hallway into the darkness. Can't they afford lighting in this stupid building? I asked, slowly away from them. I don't know, but the generator should be up this way. I mean, I was headed there before that girl snuck up on me. And she would have filled you with BBs if I didn't save your ass, I said. Looks like I am the unlucky one, Grace said. But the bleeding, I think, has stopped. That's good. Yes, thank you, Tom. I can smell the contempt from over here, I said. Yeah, you do. I reach out my arm to feel the wall. It continues for another foot before expanding out. I think we're in a larger room. Maybe we can find our way to the generator? I asked. Okay, do you want to fan out? It seems the best idea. We can call to each other if we get lost. Don't go too far in case there are other rooms or paths. Gotcha. How about I go straight, Tom goes right, and you go left, Gavin? Sounds like a plan, I said. I head to my left and brace my hand against the wall, sliding in as I go past slowly. I don't feel anything along my perimeter of the room. Must be empty. I'd rather scope that out first before I leave the wall and risk. Yeah! Tripping over something. You okay? I call out. It's Grace who answers. Yeah, something was on the ground. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's a... She goes silent. A what? Tom asked. He's a little bit further away. Guys? What is it? I think it's a skull, she said. Here, come feel this and tell me that's not a skull. I walk over in her direction. I bump my arm against something metal and wince out in pain. I assume I hit the generator with the arm that fell out of the ship. I hear a noise, and I think I hit a button. Son of a... I whispered. Are you there? Yeah, to your left, I said, grabbing at my arm. Okay, check this shit out, she said. I reach out and find her hand. I move it down a bit, and she places something hard in my hands. An intense fire burns. A young girl screams out loud, and it pierces my eardrums. I see the face of a young girl for a flash of a second. She looks like a young teenager, scared for her life as the fire consumes her. She is unknown to me. The fire wraps around her wrists, and she screams out. I can feel the heat around my own wrists, then spreads up her arms and webs around her face, erupting her pale skin to a bright orange. I feel the heat consume me, and I scream out. I toss the skull up as my hands burn hot. I'm breathing heavy as I hear the skull land somewhere behind me. You okay? Grace asked. Yeah, I think I saw the owner of that skull as they were dying. How is that possible? I don't know. Ever since that girl touched my forehead back there, I've been having these nasty hallucinations, which are more like visions, to be honest. And in that vision you saw was a girl burned alive. Do you trust these? I mean, I know hallucinations aren't a thing with me normally. I understand that, but I've never heard of someone hallucinating things about people it shouldn't know about like this. I think there's something more to it, I said. And you want to find that girl because she did this to you? Correct. Now you're all caught up. Wait, where's Tom? I'm over here, he calls out. Kept going and found what I thought was a generator. I tried to find any connection switch, but I found something odd. I found what I thought was a generator. It was actually a bunch of smaller generators, but they're not generators. What? I asked. I might be wrong, but the sign outside, it was faded, right? Yeah, I said. Oh, fuck. What is it? Grace asked. We need to get out of here now. What could it be talking about? I mean, if it's not generators, what could it? Fire. That girl burned to death in here. Incinerator. It was never a generator room. The sign that said, danger, incinerator. Oh god. Tom's right, we need to move. We're in an incinerator room. Like how that girl? Yes. She doesn't seem to need any further incentive to move. I hear her running to where, I don't know, I can't see anything. I don't know if Lado's rigged this up to go off on a timer or what, so please don't touch anything else, Tom said. Okay, I don't. A mechanical noise whirred to life.
Moving completed. Incineration begin.
What did I just say? Tom mutters. I didn't touch any. Uh-oh. Whoops, I said, remembering bumping into a switch of some sort. Without another second, I'm running off to my left. I mapped out a dark room in my mind and prayed there's an exit in the back. I see light spilling into the room as the door opens. Grace made it to the other side. Just then, the darkness is scared away by the flames that spill out of the jets protruding out of the floor, diagonally upwards. They illuminate the room. It's a hard metal that must somehow be heat resistant. Tom's running behind me as the flames encircle the ceiling and bend down to the floor below. I hop over a railing that I would have fallen over had it remained dark as Grace rushed us, waving her hands madly. I clear the distance as I feel my back heating up quickly. My shirt begins to stick to my sweaty back and I jump through the open door. Thinking if I was here any longer, I would have burnt off. Tom runs in right behind me and Grace closes the heavy-set door by herself. She's stronger than I originally thought. I'm breathing heavy, sweating all down my face, and I look around. We're in a small space about 10 feet across. There's the door that leads to literal hell, us, and on the other side is an elevator shaft, but no elevator. So I was going to suggest we turn back and go down the stairs, but I don't want to do that anymore, Grace said in between breaths. Well, we know one thing, Tom begins. You know, that girl, Lado, for all we know, is still ahead. When the room lit up, I saw no other exits from the incinerator room. You think she's Lado? I asked. Well, it makes sense. At first I thought she might have been my cuss, but the fact that Lado would need to keep a close eye on us about how she woke up separate to us, Tom explained. I guess so. I mean, knowing that doesn't really change anything. We're still gonna find her and get some answers. I feel good, like we'll actually get out, Grace said. Yeah, I have some hope too, Tom said, smiling. Hope. I hope his hope is on the mark. Whenever I think of fire, I think back to the exploding man. You see, Hal Valhart wasn't like any of our presidents back during World War II or anything like that. He didn't serve terms. He served until the Queen saw that he didn't any longer. Lucky for us, he was a pity to our problem, so he worked out really well. I liked the guy, no particular issues. Others did. That's when we got to the sorry state we're in now as a nation. Back then, there was an assassination attempt on Mr. Valhart and his entire close cabinet, even containing members of the royal family of the Queen. It was successful. What's strange wasn't the fact that there was an attempt, because Valhart did have his share of naysayers, people who couldn't adjust from the old times. Personally, I think they were just making the transition harder on themselves. What was weird about it was the method used. A single man, nobody's come forth with his name, hence the name, the Exploding Man, walked in on a meeting with a group of gentlemen while they were discussing new economic breaks for the working poor. Get that? Valhart was killed while trying to help the people. That's a big reason why I liked him. The man, if you couldn't guess, exploded killing everybody in the room. Valhart and 2 grandsons of the Queen were killed in the blast. In all, 13 of Valhart's personal guard. So much life taken with one blast. What's weird about it is there was no traces of residue on the scene from any explosive substance. It wasn't even a body of a man, only a shadow forever marked where he died. Popular theory is he rigged up some nuclear sort of blast that vaporized him completely. Once this happened, the Queen wasn't too happy with us. She basically removed all stations of support and left us like a dying animal. We turned into scavengers. Some places are lucky, still have their support in place for some reason or another and are doing just fine. I hear they're trying to install a new president. Some bumfuck official from Britain. It's gonna be absolutely great, let me tell you. One brick goes up in flames, so obviously you just throw as many of the problems as you can afford. That solves all the world's problems. At least... wait. I'm sorry, I got off track. That was the tale of the exploding man now. Where was I? Chapter 13. In front of us lies the empty elevator shaft. Behind us, the incinerator room. I take a step forward and look deep into the elevator. It descends down in darkness. There seems to be no sign of the actual elevator. I look up and strain to look for it as well, but no such luck. I can see a floor below us on the other side of the shaft where the elevator would pick up. You're not thinking of jumping down there, are you? Tom asked me. I'm afraid we need to, Tom. There isn't any other way we can go. There isn't any button to call this stupid elevator, Grace said. I guess so, Tom said. I really don't think I can make that jump, guys, Grace said. Do you think you could use that cord as sort of an in-between? Like, if you don't think you can make it all the way, which, let's be honest, I don't think any one of us is physically fit enough to jump that far, Tom said. Right, I said, thinking about it. You have to have enough momentum pushing yourself forward to not get stuck on the cord and have a one-way trip to the bottom. Looks like it'd kill your hands, Grace said, looking at her own lips. Are you sure that's the only way to go? Like, really sure? Tom asked. I look back out into the shaft, holding the left column for support as I peek my head out. I don't see any opening for any of the elevator's passage as I look up. Wherever it goes from must be either out of my vision or not exist at all. Why make the shaft go all the way up then? Yeah, I think down's our way to go. I can only see the one exit. Okay, well, I guess I see we have no other option. I certainly don't have the strength to climb all the way up, Tom said. Neither do I. I'll go first if that both makes you feel better. Look at me, offering to go first in a possible death trap. Have I really gotten this soft in the course of an hour? I mean, if I die here, I'll at least be able to ask my parents in the afterlife why they left. Gotta keep thinking positive, I guess. Tom nods his head and I turn to face the shaft. I swallow hard as I run forward, my legs running like tiny machines of their own will. They carry me as I leap forward. Time seems to stop as I reach out. I nearly slam against the taut cords and I grip tight around, but I can't find a hold, so I begin sliding down. My hands begin to burn as I go down, and I see the other entrance approaching below. I push off the cord and reach my hand out, and it slams down on the edge of the entrance. I grip my fingers around the edge and flooring and pull myself up to my elbows, breathing hard as my hands burn from sliding. I lift myself up and roll onto the side. I'm on my back looking up, and I can see the ledge I jumped from. Tom stands out over the edge about where I was standing only moments prior. You okay, man? Yeah, I answer like a bitch, but I'm largely okay, I said. I don't think I could do that, Grace said. Yeah, I think I'm in agreement. You almost just barely made it, Tom said. Come on, guys, we really don't have much time to be arguing over little things like this, I said. Well, my life isn't a little thing. Your choices are to sit there and do nothing, go back and be burnt to a crisp, or get the hell out of here. I know, but geez, if I knew I'd be doing this shit, I wouldn't have skipped cardio, Tom said. I just wouldn't have got kidnapped, to be quite frank with you, Grace said. Touché, Tom said. Come on already, I said, standing up. Fine. Since there's no other way, I guess I can just freaking go. God, this sucks so much. Grace backed up to give him room. If I die here, well, just fuck. If I die anywhere, it might as well be highlighting my greatest flaw, physical activity, he said. You'll be fine, I said. Yeah, you got this, Grace said. He backs up, and I can see him make a sort of cross shape across his chest. I wouldn't have taken him for the religious type. He begins to run, and I see him jump, his lanky arms swirling in circles as he grabs off the cord. He grabs a hold with his right and swings around and grips tight with his left. His grip must be really strong because he stops still and only slides down slightly. He fixes his grip and stops just before the entrance. I can hear his relief, and I admit I'm a bit relieved too. There's an echo from all above. Okay, you got the hardest part out of the way. Now you just need to get over here. Do you think you could start by swinging your legs? I think so. He begins to swing ever so slowly at first. He grunts as he holds on tighter to the cord. The noise above grows louder. I can feel something rise out of my stomach. Tom, you might want to... It only took a second. But even then, he didn't react quick enough. The elevator shaft from above falls and seems to stop on a dime right in front of me. I heard a sort of crack as it hit Tom, but I can't see him. The shaft was blocking the way. I hear Grace scream from across, and it echoes up and down as it rings through my body. Just like that, my irritation for Tom was gone. All that was left to replace it was the corpse falling somewhere near the bottom of the building. I guess it's a cruel coincidence he happened to be the closest to getting out of here. Yet, his body will never get the chance. The elevator door began to open slowly. It creaked at first and then all at once. Leto stands inside, still as bare-chested as before. Gavin, what happened? Are you still there? Grace yells out. Yeah, I'm here, and so is Leto, I said. What? She walks out to me. She's holding something in her hand. It looks like a card of sorts. She walks out slowly and hands it to me. I'll admit it caught me off guard. What the hell did you bring us here for? Who are you and why have you... She stops me and places it in my hands before running off. I look down to it. It looked like a get well soon card. Drawn over the front is a little teddy bear with an eye stitched closed. On the inside it said, I'm so sorry for your loss. I really hope Thomas feels better soon. All of it was pre-printed onto the card except for Thomas's name, which was scribbled in some sort of marker. Seems Leto was prepared for someone to die in this shaft. Grace, find some way down here. I'm gonna catch this son of a bitch, I yell, running after her. Just down the hall I speed up and I'm sprinting now to catch up to her. She stumbles through a doorway into an open lab. I catch up to her and grab her arm. The second I make contact, she spins around, and I can see her head flying forward into me. I try to lean back, but her head comes in anyway and smashes into me, sending me toppling back. My vision wanes as I hit the ground. I struggle to my feet as she begins to continue down the hall. I reach out and manage to grab her by her ankle, and she trips and lands on her face. Yes, no running away now, I said, crawling over and pinning her arms down. She struggles to get free, and I push down harder. No, you aren't getting up. You're going to be answering some of my questions, I said, breathing a little heavy. She was silent, only staring up at me with a vacant, almost smile. Are you Leto? She nodded, her eyes unmoving. Okay, good. Now this is progress. Why did you bring us here? What is your aim? I asked. Silence. What did you do to me before? Why am I seeing these visions? Silence. Come on! Answer me! I scream, pushing down her harder. My right hand slips off of her arm. She wiggles it free, and I grab hold of it, hold it back, but it doesn't come at me like I expected to. She actually reaches for her face, her eye specifically. She begins digging her hand into her eye, clawing at it, scraping. She makes no noise, no sound of pain, but she looks absolutely awful, screaming with no sound. I try to pull her arm away to get her to stop. She can't get out of this without answering me, but her grip is much stronger than mine. A thick white liquid begins to pour out of her eye socket. She brings her finger up to the liquid and dabs it on her finger like a paintbrush. She moves lightning quick, pressing her finger to me once more. Like before, I can feel my body go numb all at once.